right, welcome to another episode of the Logicast. My name is BlankaKong. I'm joined by Gunner EOS and Esoteric Skills. The gameplay you're going to see today is Resident Evil HD Remaster. So this is the remaster of the remake on GameCube, which is a remake of the original Resident Evil on PlayStation. So I know it's a rabbit hole of remasters, but that's what we have. And this gameplay is being provided by a YouTube channel called Survival Horror Network. This is a full gameplay of that game, so that's what you'll see in the background as we discuss this week's topic. And this week is a week in October, so that means it's going to be another horror topic. And this week's topic is one, it's a shoot from the hip kind of a topic, and that is, in your opinion, what horror game universe, or horror universe, if you could think of a movie one, just to kind of give you a little broader reach, but I would like to stick to games just because it's a gaming channel. What horror game universe do you think you have the highest chance at surviving in? And it's a tough one because I'll be honest with you, I don't think I have a shot in many of them. But if I had to pick, I think my best chance at survival would be any universe like where you're pursued by just psychotic humans. I think games like Remothered, Tormented Fathers, I'm thinking of Clock Tower, I'm thinking of Haunting Ground. I think I have the best chance of surviving in a universe like that because at the end of the day, it's not like supernatural things. It's like just a dude, like a retarded guy with an axe or something like that, right? I feel like I could probably take him. Like I might lose and I might die, but like I got a better chance against that guy versus like a bunch of zombies in Mansion or dinosaurs in Dino Crisis or fucking whatever's in Silent Hill, right? Like just mindfuck creatures.
Yeah.
Or even Ghost in Fatal Frame. I think I have my best shot there. What do you guys think?
I would say Five Nights at Freddy's because I wouldn't be at that damn place with all those animatronics running around. I'd be somewhere else. Like,
Well, that's a cop out, right? You can
um,
say that about any
it
of them.
is, it is. But honestly, I agree with you in terms of like, where the antagonists are humanoid. They're just like regular serial killers or things like that. That's the only place I could see myself surviving in. Resident Evil, not a chance in hell. I probably would have gotten bitten by one of the dogs. Um, Silent Hill, hell no. Outlast with just a camera, please. Um, Dead Space, yeah, they would have taken control of my body. Like, there's nothing here that I could see, you know. Even freaking I consider this a horror game. I've never played it, but I've seen footage on it, and it's scary as hell to me. Dredge. I'm scared of large bodies of water, and I see like the silhouettes of the shit that be in there, and I'd be scared shitless. Like I don't even think I would be able to survive that. Like it's I don't know. I don't know. What say you, Gunner? I'm not too sure.
um. All right, so I'm gonna jump out the gate cheating a little bit, cause Kong opened the door for movies. So I'll mention the video game one, next go around. But I think and I watch a lot of horror movie reviews, so like I think about this a lot. I think a universe that I could realistically have a decent shot of making it in is the universe where 28 days later takes place. So I don't know if you guys saw the movie, but assuming you guys didn't, basically it's kind of like humans get infected with something called the rage virus, which is basically rabies amped up to 11.
Okay.
So and they become super violent and like they kill and it's not like your traditional zombie where they're dead, they're living people, and that's kind of the caveat right there that allows me to live because they're living people, which means they still have bodily functions. So if I can like hoard enough supplies and lock down in like a room in an apartment and just kind of wait it out for a month, they'll die. They'll die of exposure. They'll die of hunger. They'll die of dehydration. And then, I'll just deal with a Mad Max type scenario where I have to deal with the crazy people, but they're not infected anymore. It's just like, anything goes out here. But at least for the initial outbreak, I can make it through it if I just hunker down and stick to myself, because even though these people are super amped up and violent, they still got to eat, they still got to drink, and they're not doing any of that. So how long can a human realistically last without water, food, and exposed to the element? So my first one was a cheating, so I'll admit that.
Well, you did say that it was a high form of rabies, which means that the disease would have ultimately killed them over time as well, right?
Yeah,
I
like
didn't
it would have.
so I don't know.
Yeah, it would like swell the brain, and then you would just die due to hemorrhage because your brain's pressing up against your skull. So they would just die off eventually. All you have to do is just like live out the initial couple weeks.
Okay.
So that's my first one. All right, I'll bring it back to video games on the rebound.
Well, I don't know if that's
I mean,
true. Like, okay, so I've seen 28 Days Later, the first movie, but I know there's like 28 weeks later, and then there's like
Weeks, yeah.
28 months or years
Is there?
later, or something
Oh,
like
wow.
that. There might be a third one. But like, I haven't seen the second one. What is the world like after 28 weeks?
So the way in the sequel, it kind of takes place that this was this kind of outbreak was in Europe, so it wasn't in North America. So the second movie takes place in the United Kingdom, I think in London, because it's an easily recognizable city, and good old U.S. of A. is kind of helping the British kind of do mop-up operations, and the way the outbreak happens again is because they find the main character's family, they find their mother, and she's infected, but she's not rabid. She's asymptomatic. So she can infect people, but she still has control of her faculties. And, humans being the idiots that they are, they bring her into the quarantine zone to study her. And then, your typical dumb horror movie stuff takes place, like the husband misses his wife. And mind you, the virus can translate through bodily fluids. So saliva, blood. If it gets into an orifice, your eyes, your mouth, your nose, you're done. You're infected. For some reason, he decides to make out with his wife because he doesn't know that she's asymptomatic. But somehow he gets behind a whole bunch of military checkpoints and then finds his wife and is like, "Oh, I thought you were dead, but you're not. Yay!" And like starts making out with her, and he gets infected, and then it's a chain reaction, and then hilarity ensues. So it was one of those movies that should have ended at the first one, but the first one did well, so they made a second one, and it wasn't as good.
I'm still gonna check it out because I never watched it, and I'm a little intrigued. But
Yeah, give it a shot. The first one's definitely good. The second one is
takes a step back.
it's yeah. And if there's a third one, let me know because I thought it ended at 2.
Yeah, I remember seeing. It could have been something else, or I could just be confused.
Yeah, I think there was. No, there was a 21 months later, I believe. I think I've seen it. Like I haven't watched it per se, but I have seen like someone talk about that movie. Unless it could have been a hoax, who knows? But I think it was.
It would be sick if there was like a game, and this is off this. Okay, warning, spoiler alert for those listening. This is one of those topics that can veer very easily to something else, so prepare yourself for that one with this particular episode. But like, I would love for there to be a horror game where you're a survivor in an outbreak and you don't have the means to literally, like, it's not like World War Z the game where you're like, okay, now you gotta go to the boatyard or whatever, now you have to like mow through zombies or whatever. No, I want a horror game where you have to survive and find creative ways to just live. I would love to play a game like
Isn't that what like Project? I believe it was called Project Zomboid. Isn't that what it was on the Steam Deck?
Yes, but it's not. So I love Project Zomboid, but I wish you see how Resident Evil, like we're looking at it right now, like this game has like a narrative and like there's characters and stuff, like a more polished, third person shooter or even first person, and not shooter, just like a first person or third person adventure where like you have to kind of like survive and like maybe you're in an apartment complex and like you just have to scavenge and like you just kind of have to like the goal is to survive by like a certain day or whatever. So kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's where you just have to kind of live the night. I would like a horror game where it's like zombie apocalypse and you just kind of have to like you have to survive until you're like rescued by the military or something like that. And there's no like the combat is minimal, right? You can defend yourself with stuff, but like you'd have to find stuff to craft or whatever. So it'd be like a mix of like Dying Light, Project Zomboid, and like I don't know something else.
Dead Island or something.
Maybe like a little bit of Last of Us with the whole crafting.
Yeah, something like that.
Type deal. Yeah.
I would.
I mean that could be cool. Like, and I mean this might be a lot for a video game, but like let's say you fuck up at some point in the game and you get infected, and now like your objective changes, and like the story changes to, oh, you gotta try to accomplish something before you turn, or you have to get somewhere, or maybe even it's like try to disguise your illness but still get to the military checkpoint, and it could be like a bad end or something.
That would be cool. Or if like there was multiple characters,
PvP.
you can like if you die as one character, like you respawn as another character in the world in the, let's say, the apartment complex, and now like you can encounter your past character as a zombie and like coop up all their stuff and for your new character to survive.
Right, yeah, so and like if your previous character fucked over the NPC, that NPC gets a bad start, but now you're controlling it. So it's like, I fucked myself over. All I have is a toothbrush.
Yeah, because Project Zomboid does that. Like, I love that about that game, where like if you die as one character and you respawn as another in the same save file, like you can encounter your past self as a zombie, and like that zombie has the loot that you died with. And like whatever base you had is still intact, so you could just use the same base because you know where it is.
So okay, how about we add to it where like okay, you're pretty much playing as set character, but the character that you encounter is an NPC that's like an antagonist for you. But there's a randomizer where you become that person who's trying to obstruct everything that you're doing.
That would be interesting.
That would be insane. So you had to build like barricades and stuff because this guy was trying to steal your shit. He had a whole like faction with him. Or there was like this rogue guy who, would scrounge for food and take people out in their sleep in certain houses and whatnot. And then you become that guy he kills you or whatever, or you die to like a zombie or something. Like that would be insane.
I would love.
So you're pretty much setting up all the obstructions and all the hurdles.
Now
and
you
stuff.
have to deal with them, and it would be cool if there was like a class system where like there's like different skill trees. So like let's say the character you were playing with was like, let's say he was the scavenger type, so he was like really good at finding stuff. But now you play as that murderer guy, so now all his skills, all his points and skills are like in stealth attacking other humans and things like that. And now you lost the scavenger skills, and you have to kind of like work with this new toolkit.
Switch your whole play style
has to change because like you can't play the same way anymore. It's not nearly as effective. That would be sick. Any game designers listening and you want to take that idea, make millions of dollars, please, you're welcome. Just make the game good and I'll be happy.
True. Man. Other worlds we can reasonably survive in. I mean, I guess, the obvious one is the zombie one, but realistically, I get it. Like, I'd probably die in the initial wave.
I mean, with zombie games, like, the main character's usually immune. They're usually, like, anomalies. So it's, like, kind of cheating. Like, you wouldn't be... More than likely, you wouldn't be immune. Like, you would just be a normal civilian.
So, yeah.
So you
True.
you
That
would
is true.
probably die, just because like the circumstances aren't favorable at all. So
Especially considering living in a city, high populace,
yeah,
you know.
definitely. How did you guys think you would fare in a ghost game? Like if you were in the world of Silent Hill
Oh
or
man.
Fatal Frame,
Jeez.
do you think like the sanity would kill you first before any other force?
Um, I don't think the sanity would kill me. I think I tend to be really composed in a lot of like situations. But then again, I've never dealt with, you know, paranormal stuff like that,
Neither have I.
any type of entity.
I think that
So I
goes without
can't, so I
saying,
can't,
but
Yeah.
so I can't really say. Um, I think given the circumstances that my brain will try to rationalize what the hell is going on, and it would have to be something inflicting harm on me as opposed to me trying to inflict harm on myself. Like I can't see myself doing anything to relinquish myself out of that situation. I can't see it. I would have to get got.
well, how would you respond? Like if there's like a ghoulish ghostly figure and it's chasing you. Obviously, like you would do anything in your power to like not let it get close to you. And if it does
Yeah,
get close to you, like it's safe to assume that it would consume you, possess you, or kill you. So you wouldn't
yeah,
know
and
until
extreme bowel movement will ensue. Yeah,
yeah. So I feel like sanity could kill you in that scenario, but especially if it's haunting and fucking with you.
Yeah, I think like a situation like PT, kind of that thing where like you're in a house which is usually regarded as a safe place, right? Your house is your home. This is where you're isolated from the outside world. Nothing is supposed to harm you in your house. And then there's like this ghost, this entity, there's something that you're trying to figure out what it is, and it's not directly harming you, but it's freaking you out, and it's making moves like it wants to hurt you. And the one thing that freaked me out in PT is when this wasn't even because I never played it, but I learned a lot of stuff about it after it kind of came and went. And the fact that the way the demo was designed, that the ghost lady, because the game is first person for anybody who doesn't know, um, technically the way she was designed was she was always behind the
Mm-hmm.
character. So if
wow.
you, yeah, if you know Kong, correct me if I'm wrong. Like she was always behind you, but because it was first person, you obviously didn't know. But when they kind of boundary broke the game and kind of looked at it from angles you're not supposed to see, the player character would be represented because they didn't make a player character because it was again first person. But she was always behind you throughout your whole
Yeah, she
playthrough.
haunted you the entire game, and like it took people to like get into the code of the game and like look at the files and like watch like trick the game to like allow them to play it from a different perspective, which showed them some of the other things that they did. So like one of those things was the lady was always present. She would never left your side. She was always there.
That
So
is that got me. That's like, oh my gosh.
wait a minute. So there weren't instances where like you caught like reflections or anything, and you would see the
Yeah,
entity
you
behind
would you
you?
would see
Like,
glimpses of it.
okay,
Like
okay,
there's a few instances. So like one of the most I mentioned in the last podcast, one of the more memorable ones is like you're going down the hallway, and at the end of the hallway, it's just like this looming tall figure, and it's her, and she's all like deformed, and her arms are super long, and she's like twitching her head a little bit, and like the light just goes out, and so it's completely dark where she was, and you have to proceed in the game. So it's like, oh shit, like you could feel your asshole fucking like going in further inside your body, because it's super intense. And like there's other ones where like um, another scary one was like she would be at the like I think you have to like go backwards. So if you went back to the door you just went through, and it's like an endless loop, right? Like you're just going into the same room over and over again. But if you backtrack, there's a point where you backtrack and like you see her like she's shivering and like shaking profusely in the corner, and then as you get closer, she like just jets at you, but she doesn't stop shaking, and it doesn't do any damage to you. But like it's fucking like it's disturbing, and it's like it catches you. Like it's a jump scare, but like not really because you see what's happening. So that was a really good one. And then there's another one where like she's on a balcony watching you, but it's hard to see her, but she's there, looking at you as you're like doing whatever in the game. So like there's a lot of cool instances in that game. I definitely recommend watching gameplay of it. Like it's
So how does it end? How does like
so the objective of the game,
the demo
which
end?
isn't made clear to you, like I never finished it because I didn't know what to do. But you have to find pieces of a photograph or something like that, and they're like scattered around the level, scattered around the house. But you have to keep going through the loops to spawn them, and they're in different parts. And I know in the last podcast you mentioned like Eternal Darkness doing like the whole fucking with you thing, like increasing the volume or making it seem like your TV went to like channel 3 mode or whatever. PT
Yeah.
does it as well, where they give you like an error code, an error message, and like it tricks you. It's like, oh shit, did the game glitch? Like what's going on? Like it looks really legitimate, like a bunch of error messages. So the game does that a few times to you as well. But to answer your question, once you find all the parts, and you finally get out of the loop, it's a scene of the character who ends up being Norman Reedus, guy from Daryl from Walking Dead. He was supposed to be the main character
Yeah.
in that game. It's him walking down the street or whatever, and then he looks back, and then you get the character reveal, and it shows like the logo Silent Hills, and then it plays the song, the theme song for Silent Hill, and then
Yeah.
that's how it ends. And it's supposed to be like a advertisement for what they were working on at the time, which never came to be. So the game kind of like it's more poetic because it never came out. So it's like the game that never was, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Wowzers.
But
Yeah.
no, it's stuff like that, like the whole psychological horror like that I could never survive. I know the point of the podcast of what you could survive, but no, this one
I mean,
I
we
couldn't
could talk
make it.
about the shit that we wouldn't survive because 9.9 out of 10 we wouldn't survive like horror game scenarios. 100%. There's no shot. Like one that would fuck with me, but also like provides physical danger. So it's like psychological and the threat of physical violence is The Thing. So The Thing had a video game,
Oh my God, no.
and
Yeah.
it did mimic like the movie. So any people that you came in contact with, you could recruit them into your team, and it was like different. And it's supposed to be getting a remake too, so I'm pretty excited for that. If it comes out this year, I'm definitely buying it. And like there are different categories. So there's like soldier or marine, then there's like engineer, and then there's medic. And those three classes have different uses. So if you have an engineer person, they can open doors for you that you don't have access to. If you have a medic, obviously he can heal you, and then the soldier type, he's good for like battles and stuff. And the if you I think it's a pause screen, or it's like a pause screen where you could check the status of the guys on your team, and like they'll show you portraits of the 3D model of like a close up shot of 3D model's face, and like
Okay.
they'll emote what they're feeling. Like like if he's calm, he'll look pretty calm. If he's angry, he'll be pretty like you see that he's pissed. If he's paranoid, you'll see the model kind of like looking around. He's paranoid, and like you have to figure out a part of the gameplay loop is you have to figure out who's the thing on your team, and you have to also convince people that you're not the thing. And at no point are you the thing in the game, but like if a character doesn't trust you, you have to kind of like convince him, and you can convince him by like healing him or helping him in battle or recruiting another character. But let's say there's a character that you don't want to recruit, you don't trust him, you think he's like infected, and another dude, like the other character who's on your team, trusts you, or doesn't trust you. He's like kind of worried about you. Like you not recruiting that other guy who ends up being infected will drive him to trust you less, and like they can attack you. And so like when you kill them, um, if they're the thing, they'll turn into the thing. But if they're not the thing, they'll just die. And it's like, oh shit, like I killed, like he wasn't even infected. Like that can happen. So like, I love that game so much. It's so underrated, and I'm glad they're trying to bring it back.
So is there an instance where you're actually playing as a thing,
No,
or you're just
no.
solely a
You always
human?
you play as the guy. I don't know his name, but you play as the character, and like he's never. And that would have been interesting, but they didn't introduce that into the game where like you play as a thing and like you have to deceive people. Like that would have been cool too to have a game like that where you're like
Yeah.
your goal is to deceive. You're the wolf in the village. That'd be sick. But that's not what they did with this game. But it was they didn't have to like that dynamic was enough to kind of like intrigue
Yeah.
me to want to continue to play.
No, it definitely sounds interesting. I wouldn't be able to survive that situation, simply because the stress levels would be so high, and just the whole conscious factor, right? Like, let's say you had to make the decision of someone you don't trust and it ends up not being a thing. Like, I would think, given the circumstances, it would absolutely take a toll on you.
Yeah.
The regret of killing an innocent person and also having all eyes on you at all given time, So it's like that stress level will definitely destroy me.
Yeah, so I brought it up because I thought
No.
it represents like the physical threat and the psychological threat, which not every horror situation does that.
That's definitely a good call.
What were we gonna
Um,
say, Gunner?
Mm. Sorry, I was taking a drink. Yeah, no, no, definitely. That's why it's one of my favorite movies. The whole concept of creatures that mimic you. Uh, that whole like I don't know. I like that whole kind of uncanny valley horror. I'm a big fan of it. I love it and hate it at the same time. So stuff like skinwalkers, um, like where they look human, but there's something wrong about them. And I don't know if there's a game world like that, but I would love to play something like that, where like you're in the forest, or maybe like you're camping with friends, because that's usually how the story goes, where like you're camping with friends, one of them goes into the woods to like take a piss or get firewood or something, and they're gone a little bit too long, and then when you go looking for them, you hear their voice, and they're asking for help, like, oh my god, I've been hurt, please help me. And then the friend comes out of the woods, and it's just like, weren't you just out there asking for help? And they go, no, I I was taking a piss. And
oh my God.
yeah,
Yo,
see, and then
yo.
and then you and your friend hears something that sounds like him saying, "Help! I broke my leg. I need help. Please help me." And it's like that type of horror that always I can't help but read these stories, and part of my mind is like, "Hey, look, the woods are scary. I'm not gonna pretend to know what's in those woods. You never know." But like, oh man, imagine something like that, and it's kind of the same aspect of the thing, where you don't know which friend is the skinwalker. It could be this guy, it could be this girl, it could be your girlfriend, it could be your best friend. You don't know, and it's the skinwalker's job to kind of assimilate and learn the mannerisms of the friends to fool you into thinking that's your real friend. And then at the end of the game, a bad ending could be you're going home, you start the car, you get out of there, and you think, okay, I'm with Bob, he's my friend, we made it out of there. And then like he just turns to you and smiles, but it's like a very very elongated smile where it's not human, and then the game ends and you were killed. Like
Yeah,
that stuff. I love that type of horror. That supernatural skinwalker horror. It's
Oh my God. When you said that, it reminded me of this video that I watched for a while back, but then I recently watched it. I think Kong sent it to me as well, where I don't remember the name of it, but
What was
it's like
it?
a short
Mama
movie.
Agnes.
Yes, Mama Agnes.
Yeah,
So
it's
essentially,
good.
it
Good.
starts
Good
off with
short.
this girl who she's in the house and she's trying to reach out to her mom. Her mom is supposed to be away on business or something like that. So she basically sees someone in like the background or whatever, which resembles her mother, and she's asking like, "Hey, I thought you were supposed to be coming later this week or something like that. Some time where she wasn't supposed to be there at that very moment." So then it kind of pans over to her, to the little girl, and then she gets a phone call, and it's a FaceTime from her actual mom. So then as you see her looking at the she responds to the call, and then she's looking at the doppelganger, and then she looks at her phone again as the mother is speaking to her like, "Why you look so bewildered? What's going on?" She pans, and then all you see is like the doppelganger right in front of her with a big like smiling Cheshire cat grin from ear to ear, and she gets like really dark or whatever, and and then it just cuts. That's it. It was
Yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
man.
That's a type of like doppelganger, skinwalker type horror where it's like they're pretending to be someone that you're supposed to know, and you kind of they almost get it perfect, and they like, no, I think that's my mother, but then there's something off about them, and you can't put your hand on it. And I hear a lot of people say that's like an instinctual fear or an instinctual survival technique to know when something looks human but isn't quite human. And that makes me think, it's like, wait a minute. So, what was roaming around thousands of years ago with our like Unga Bunga ancestors that we needed that survival technique to know how to look out for someone who looks like a person but isn't a person?
Hmm.
That means there was something out there that could mimic the look of a human, and we had to train our children for them to not get eaten. If you see someone that smiles a little bit too wide, that's not a person, and run. It's like, why would we need that? Like, why would we need that survival technique if there weren't things that looked a lot like people but weren't people? It makes
The books were
makes you
scrubbed,
think,
brother.
man.
There's no documented evidence that we have access to. But
No, and it's just like, that horror always gets me. I can't help but read stories, fake or not. I don't, doesn't matter. But I love, like, those stories always get me. I always have to read them.
Yeah, that's scary as hell, something that sits close to home, and you can't really pinpoint what the anomaly is, but you have to like really be, on the defense, and figure it out as soon as possible before this thing ends up killing you and your entire family or whatever it is. That, oh God,
Yeah, so a
just
video
thinking
game
about
world
it.
like that, I, I, I wouldn't last very long.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Oh my goodness. What about do you guys think you would survive in like secret society type of situations? Like, I can't think of a game like that, but well, aside from Resident Evil 4, because that was like a secret society, the Ganados and those people. But like, I'm sure you guys seen it in movies where it's like a secret
like a foreign
society that
village,
you're on this.
like in Resident
Yeah,
Evil 8 or Resident Evil 4, like you're in this new
yeah,
place and
pretty
like
much.
there's something weird about it, but you have to be there for some reason, and like you just kind of have to keep going through it.
Yes.
I would just die. I mean, something would catch me. Like
Situations like
they
hostel.
have the home field advantage. I don't know anything about this area. I don't know the language probably. I don't know the customs of the culture. I don't know what is socially okay. Like if like for example, I've read or I've heard in videos that like in Japan, the customs are different. Like the social customs and expectations are different. So like they don't really say thank you and you're welcome over there. Like that's not really an expectation. Um, that would throw me off, right? Because I'm so used to
Yeah.
it's a very American thing. Like if somebody says thank you, you say you're welcome. That's like if you sneeze, you say bless you. It's just
Yeah.
it's an expectation, and so if you're in this new area with a different culture, like, and it's in a horrific setting where like there's something going on where they cannibalize fucking foreigners or something like, I don't know, man. Lack of not like I feel like in a situation where in my own hometown, I feel like I'm at a disadvantage already from the circumstance. Now I'm in a foreign land. It's like it's GG. Like it's over.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true. That's a good point.
There's
The
So,
gonna.
same could be said about like Silent Hill, right? Like I remember watching the Silent Hill movie. And, like I think the best scene was the first one where the lady was in the city or whatever, and like the alarm started to go off, and like the redness and the darkness just kind of rose from the ground. Like that was like I don't know if you guys remember that scene or have seen that
Yeah,
movie,
I remember.
but like
Yeah, yeah,
that was
yeah,
such a
yeah.
guttural like because sirens already like loud noises like that already kind of put you at ease, not at ease, but like on edge. So that combined with the visuals of like this world kind of crumbling and like turning into this dark hellhole that you have to now deal with apparently is like so like a situation like that. That's what I think of when you mention like kind of being in a foreign land and like in this unknown area, just unknown world. I think of that too, and how scary that was, and how scary it would be if it really happened.
No, big time, big time. I mean, funny enough, I think the game Silent Hill Origins did that a lot. It was the one on the PSP. At least I played it on the PSP. We talked about it in that we reviewed the cover in that tier list. Make sure you guys check that out. Um, that one I think took place after the movie. So clearly it took that whole inspiration, but it did it like it was really cool. So you would be, for an example, they would have two different phases. They would have like your exploration story phase where you would explore the town during the day and nothing would attack you. That's where you would interact with NPCs that you would find. That's where you would like dig through the mystery and find out more about the origins of Silent Hill. But then at certain points in the game, um it would change and it would do that siren, so the siren would go off, and if like you were in a school, one is like in a school, a hospital, like a cemetery, you would see the world change and like you would see the walls dissolve and they would turn into barbed wire cages and all this like horrific hellscape imagery, and it would do it in real time. So now the
jeez.
school would be like a demonic school, and now you would fight all the crazy, nurses with no face, the weird body bag looking enemy with just legs that would walk at you. So like that transition was cool in the movie, but when it was done in the game, I don't know, there was something different about it because you were in it instead of watching a character. It felt like you were in it.
Yeah.
So like I know it wasn't really well received, but that's kind of one of my favorite. Like not favorite, but I really liked that aspect of Silent Hill Origins. So that's why it has like a special place with me. And yeah, they took direct inspiration from the movie, so I can't fault it. That was one of the better aspects of the Silent Hill movie.
I didn't know that about
So
Origins.
we,
I gotta get my hands on a copy for PS2 and play it.
Yeah, yeah. If you ever get a chance to play it, it was kind of after the movie, so that they used that whole siren mechanic to transfer you into the hell demon world. But yeah, it's very campy because it was originally on the PSP, so you know you guys know what the PSP was capable of, so it is campy in that respects, but it's a pretty solid Silent Hill game, at least to me.
nice, nice.
You were in the middle of
Well,
saying
we never.
something esoteric.
Yeah, I was gonna say that we mentioned apparitions, we mentioned zombies, we mentioned like other humans, but we didn't mention anything like aliens or whatever. That's another aspect that I wouldn't be able to survive. I know in the last podcast you guys spoke about Alien Isolation. I've never played the game, but I've definitely watched some of the movies, and I wouldn't survive that atmosphere. Um, and I also what else comes to mind is I was thinking about War of the Worlds. Like that movie was like trippy as hell because it's like the aliens came out of nowhere. Like they had their from what I'm speculating, because I don't think the movie actually went into details. Maybe the book might have, but it seems like many years ago, the aliens probably placed their tech beneath the earth, and then they kind of like teleported in them. Um,
Yeah, you got the gist of it pretty right. Yeah.
yeah, it's just insane about like how they just teleported into those machines and started wreaking havoc. And I probably would have been one of the people that's already been, sucked dry of my blood because that seems like that's what they were doing in the ships. Um, but to those who were lucky that the atmosphere killed them, man, it would have been a matter of like proximity because I'm pretty sure if I was in the midst of everything, definitely probably would have died. Like Tom Cruise, the way that he survived, kudos to him and his companion and the brother, the brother especially who went to go towards the problem. Kudos to all three of them because they all survived. But me, I don't think I would have been able to
Nah,
survive.
dog. I would have been in the opening scene of the movie where you get hit with the beam and they get puffed into
Yep,
ash. That would have been me. I ain't
I would
Tom Cruise.
I would have been that guy in the basement, like, "Ah, they're gonna kill us. I forgot what he was saying, but like he was just yelling real loud. He had to get choked out and die because he almost gave away their position.
So seeing that we're
That probably
seeing
would
that
have
we're
been
on
me.
aliens, how about the Quiet Place?
Oh God.
Well, I know the latest one comes out that came out that focuses on New York specifically. It's Dunzo. It's done.
Yeah, you're fucked. I'm
Yeah.
fucked because
I'm
I'm
done.
fucked because
Yeah.
like I snore for sure. I know I snore. So the moment I go to sleep, it's done. Like I'm dead. I'm dying in my sleep,
Yep.
or somebody's gonna kill me in my sleep to protect themselves.
Right.
Yeah. Quiet
Or
Place.
your cat just gives you away.
Yeah, that movie I saw it and it wasn't terrible, but it was definitely a step back.
Oh, you
What,
did see
the
the
second one?
prequel, or but like
The Quiet Place Day One,
the
yeah, the third one, but
Oh,
yeah.
I've only saw the first two.
yeah, it's fine, but like it's not enough like suspense. Like there was a few parts in the movie I was like, oh shit, what's he gonna do? Like how's this gonna play out? But like it was more about like the character building and all that, and it was like a good message, but like it just it paled compared to the first one and the second one. Like the first one, I remember watching that and like thinking how like I got stressed because the mother was pregnant, she was giving labor, and it like they were being attacked.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it wasn't enough of that intensity. But
Gotcha.
it
Even
was
the
good.
beginning.
Oh yeah, with
The
the little
beginning
kid
with
and
it.
the robot toy or
Yeah.
whatever. Holy shit!
I felt that, man. I was like, oh my God. That was just as bad as the ending in The Mist. Like that ending
Oh my
was
god.
so bad, man.
That I
Another
got
thing I would survive.
oh no. Oh my god, the miss. Oh, don't even get me started on that. With like the fucking giant mosquito things that if they stab you and inject you, like you start puffing up and you explode and shit. The spiders that lay
Oh
eggs in
God.
your body. Oh my god, the weird tentacle monster that just scoops you up,
Oh my
bro.
God.
And that, funny enough, that movie slash book had to do with like the government fucking around with
portals or something.
Portals, yeah, they opened up a portal to a fourth dimension or something, and these creatures came up. It's like, yeah, that's probably how we're gonna die. The government's fucking around with some shit, and next thing you know, Cthulhu monsters come out and kill us all.
Yeah, because I heard it was it's supposed to be connected to another Stephen King book, which was the Gunslinger or something like that. Or
Oh, the Dark Tower, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Side note, that's a really good series. I would recommend reading those books at some point. Yeah, that's not horror. They have like horror-ish tones, but
Hmm.
yeah, that's a really good book series. One of his better works, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Yeah,
But
but
no,
that's another place I wouldn't survive. Like,
no.
especially, I would have probably. That's where I would have probably off myself, where they were playing Russian roulette, and the guy had to be the last one. Spoiler alert, viewers. You know, if you haven't watched it now, you probably will never watch it. But
Yeah,
yeah, they're in the car, and then he had to take out the I call them the NPCs. Then he had to take out his kid. Then there was there was no more bullets left, so he got out the car, and then that's when they finally
bro.
uh
Like 5 minutes later, you see the military come in,
oh my
flamethrowers. They're just wrecking
God,
all the shit. I'm like, oh my god. All you have to do is wait 10 minutes.
jaw dropping, man, jaw dropping. Like I to this day I've never seen an ending like that that has like been embedded in my head.
That's a
Maybe
rough ending.
maybe the others with Nicole Kidman where she's all running around and everybody thinking like she's thinking and her kids thinking that apparitions are attacking her when her and her kids are actually the apparitions. I was like, holy shit, that is mind-boggling.
Oh,
Ah,
so speaking of aliens, okay, this is another good one. Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
oh my god.
Could you blend in long enough? I don't know what, because like if all the aliens take over the Earth, you gotta blend in for the rest of your life. But
Nah, I don't have
like
good poker face, man. I get outed.
So I know the reference because I've heard a lot of like, pop culture reference pertaining to that movie or whatever, but I've never seen it. So if you could give like the gist of it for me to understand.
um, all right. So the one I'm more familiar, that's the same fundamental principle, is the kind of modern one. I don't know actors or actresses' names,
Okay.
but it's a modern one, but basically the premise is there's an alien invasion, and instead of like War of the Worlds where they start blasting with alien tech, what they do is they start replacing humans. So like the aliens would be amorphous creatures, and they would replace a person, killing the original person, but they would have their faces, their memories, and their personality. So like what the aliens would do is they would basically it eventually they would take over important people. So you started seeing like there was peace in the Middle East. North there was peace with North Korea. You would see there was like a lot of like unity all of a sudden. That's because a lot of world leaders were being taken over by by these aliens. And the
Okay.
way it would work is when you were asleep, the alien would basically body snatch you. So the alien would be like in an embryo form. It would cover your body, killing you, and then it would form another creature that looks like you and has your memories. So if you fall asleep, you're done.
Oh my God.
Which is impossible. Humans have to sleep. So like the characters, in order to kind of not fall asleep, they would have to like medicate themselves. So I remember one scene where they were trying to stay awake and they broke into a pharmacy and they were taking like I don't know, like medication to keep them up and
Yeah.
drinking tons of coffee because if you fall asleep, you could get body snatched. And they had to blend in a way because the aliens what would give them away was they didn't have the emotion that humans have. They were very analytical, they were very cold people. So, in order to blend in with the aliens, you had to be like that. You couldn't show emotions, you couldn't show fear because the moment they detect any type of like emotion or anything that seems abnormal to their functionality, they would
Hmm.
scream. and
Oh,
then you would just be ambushed, and they would get you. So like the characters had to navigate through a world where people were just getting body snatched, and the way it ended is, at least in the remake that I saw, the main character ended up meeting with a group of people who were like normal, and they were outside of the major cities, and it was like they were like a resistance group, and they were gonna try. It ended with them trying to organize to fight back against the aliens. So that's how the remake ended. But that was pretty much the gist of it. Like they would just snatch your body, kill you, and then reform as you with all your memories, your likeness, but they would be cold, emotionless creatures. So that's how you could differentiate between who's a human and who's an alien. But in order to blend in, you kind of have to like act like an emotionless creature, which is kind of hard to do.
got you. It kind of sounds to me like this anime I watch called Parasite.
Yeah, which I recently, funny enough, I recently started. I watched the Netflix version, which was
Yeah,
like a Korean version of it, which got me started reading the manga. That's a really good. That's a
yeah.
really good manga. I like that, and I'll check out the anime at a certain point. But yeah, it's another thing too, like a weird parasite that eats your brain, and the only reason the main character didn't get his brain eaten was because he managed to cut the parasite off at his hand, and it only
Yeah,
has a short time to form, so it got stuck in his hand. No, interesting concept for an anime. And
yeah. And now they coexist together, and the parasite always reminds him, like, listen, I was supposed to kill you or whatever, but in order for me to live, I gotta, have you survive. So, they coexist with one another, protecting themselves against other parasites because that one can detect the other one. So,
right. And if you ever get the chance, I know Netflix kind of gets a bad rap for like the Netflix adaptation. Lol, it's shit. But which is 9 times out of 10 correct. Um, to be fair. But if you ever get a chance to watch The Parasite on Netflix, it's actually pretty good. Because it takes
okay.
place in Korea, but it takes place in the same world as The Parasite, which takes place in Japan. So like they're in the same universe, but they don't step on each other's toes. So it's like the Korean version, but the Japanese version is also still going on, and you know,
Gotcha. It's like Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, aliens, man, that's a good one. Probably 9 times out of 10, nah, I'd be dead, like in an instant, or
Yeah.
assimilated, one of the two.
Yeah. I mean, I can also imagine, Predator, like what Arnold had to go through dealing with that thing. And that's a being that has a high thought process, high IQ. Imagine having to deal with something like that. They were tech advanced. They're skilled in combat, and they're like way more powerful. Probably twice the strength of like humans, maybe more if I'm not mistaken. Like, how the hell you survive that?
I mean, Arnold's like the peak of physical human conditioning, and he couldn't take that thing in a one-on-one. He was getting his ass beat. He had to like outsmart it and
Yeah,
basically trick it as like, oh, I'm so good. He wasn't a strong Native American woman, so he had to like outthink it instead of just straight beating it in hand to hand. So that is the difference.
To be fair,
uh,
in the Prey movie, which is the one you're referring to, she never really beat it hand to hand at all. Like she failed miserably. Her brother did the best. Like he put up the best
Yeah,
fight, and he
and
died.
also he did die, yeah. And the Predator kind of like was he I guess he was on the
he was a
Predator that got on
rookie,
the
wasn't he?
that, or he was the one that got on the short bus at Predator school because he was a fucking moron and got killed by his own weapon.
Yeah, true. So I don't know. Fake news. Like I don't. That movie.
I mean,
That movie didn't
technically,
exist.
the Arnold Schwarzenegger one died to his own weapon too because he had to kill himself.
Well, I
But
think that one was more
but yeah,
hubris because he was
yeah,
like, "Oh my god, look at this puny human man," And it's like, oh shit, he actually got. Well, fuck you. I'm a cheat. I didn't lose. I blew myself up.
We both lose,
It's
bitch.
like, wow, what a sore loser, alien.
Yeah, very, very sore.
All right, so the last one I'm gonna bring up is a game that I own it, I have it, I refuse to play it because I play something similar to it, and that was a scary experience enough. Is Subnautica and Stranded Deep. Being stranded
Oh,
in water, basically.
yeah,
I know I'm
yeah.
done. Like it's over for me. I'm dying on that one little island. I'm not building a raft. I'm not doing. Nope. I'm done. That's it. I will just die. Or if I'm underwater and I have to like swim deep underwater to find stuff, nah, I'm done.
Yeah, Wolf mentioned it in the last podcast session. Imagine being in Rapture. I'd be scared shitless since
Oh
it's
yeah,
submerged in
100%.
water. I would never want to be there. Absolutely not.
I mean, yeah, I'm not even gonna try to like front. Um, I'd probably go to like I don't have. I can't even say I don't have it. Yeah, if you drop me into the ocean, I think I'm gonna panic along with 99% of the world. Anybody who says, yeah, if you just drop me in the Atlantic, I'll just float. I'm chilling. You're a liar.
That
You're
thalassophobia is gonna kick in.
yeah, like we all have it at that point. Fuck it.
I
It's like
forget the name of the
and
movie. It was a. You might Gunner might have seen it. Like it was these two. I think it was a man and a wife or two girls. I don't remember, but they were scuba diving, and they were scuba diving and they were looking at the fish or whatever. Like, oh my god, it's so cool, and like the the the, the group of people that they were scuba diving with left them behind, and they came back up to get back on the boat, and the boat was
oh
gone.
yes, that's a real thing. That's a true story.
Well, shit.
Yeah, I think they were like a couple, and they were
Was that
on.
open water?
I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
All I know is I watched that movie
yeah.
and I was like, I had shivers the whole time because they're just like, just fucking coasting there, hoping that they come back. And like, there's a point where they realize like, this is it, we're gonna die. It's like, and they're like surrounded by sharks at some point. I was like, oh, like, holy shit.
No.
Yeah, and it's like, there's the ocean, the big nothing. It's just like we're not meant to operate in that naturally, and it's just like we're not equipped for that. So we only can operate in that field because of our brains and our ability to make tools and technology, aka boats. But that's not our realm.
Yeah, honestly, like if we didn't have our brain, like navigating the Earth would be damn near impossible. We would have been dead 10 times over. It's lucky that we have hands and we have a mind to build things, because
Those opposable thumbs come in handy.
exactly. It was what else? There was this other movie that I ended up watching because I saw a lot of clips of it. I think it was called Sea Beast, and it's a cartoon, kind of like in the Pixar aesthetic. And there was this scene where this ship was getting wrecked or whatever. So two characters jumped into the ocean, and all you see is like this creature with big yellow eyes looking at them, and then all you see is like endless water, and the creature is huge, just really huge. And then it looks at them, and then it just drifts away into like the depths of the ocean. And that was like the scariest shit I've ever seen ever in like a cartoon or whatever. I ended up watching the movie. Turns out that the creature was actually their friend because they actually helped the creature out. But like to see
Oh,
that,
what a bro. Okay.
it was insane. Like it was definitely scary.
And getting the games like Subnautica, I don't know how people play it. I've seen people play it, and it's all cool when you're in the shallows, right? And you're scooping up the tropical fish, and you're in the coral reef. Like, oh, okay, that's cute. It's nice. I can work with that. But like when you get into the deep, and it's just like these giant leviathans, these colossal squid. It's pitch black. the only light you have is your flashlight, and you just see like the tip of something swim by, and you know that's not the whole of it. That's just a little bit that you saw. Mm. Mm.
Isn't Dredge like a similar type of deal? Because I've seen videos of Dredge. I've never gotten to
Yeah.
play it,
So
fortunately.
Dredge is kind of like you're a fisherman, but you do encounter these like big, gigantic Cthulhu type creatures, but you don't go underwater.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you do encounter them. Like they come to you, and you're a ship, so they can wreck you pretty easily. Um, but nah, it's not on the level of Subnautica where you're in the thick of it and you see these creatures and they see you as a food source, so they actively attack you. I I get a little bit of anxiety when watching someone play it. I don't think I could get very far in that game.
Yeah, I have it. I own it. I've watched a little bit of gameplay of it. I don't think I can do it. Like even playing Stranded Deep and like fighting the giant squid monsters or the the giant sharks. The was it the megalodalian or whatever
Megalodon.
megalodon.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And like fighting them and just like being on this like little raft with my little harpoon thing and like just watching them like coast me like they're just around. It is a first person game, so like my visuals are limited, and it's just watching them like come out of the sea and like raise their tentacles and try to attack me, and I'm like I can't. Getting knocked out and then sent into the water away from my ship. Now I have to like swim back to my ship for safety, for some kind of safety.
The only thing that's like a perceived safety, yeah. Hmm.
Nah, no thanks. No thanks. That's probably the
Yeah,
thing
I've
I'm
never.
scared of the most, honestly.
I think that's just common sense. It's like a,
Yeah, because you're at an insane disadvantage. Like you gotta, first of all, you can't even breathe under there. It's hard to see unless you train your eyes to be able to sustain visibility underwater. And then you have creatures that will pretty much outclass you in every way, shape, or form. Like you're not meant to be there. The only thing you're meant to do at water is just drink it and bathe and bathe. That's it.
Yeah, nah. They say that like the ocean is like the devil's realm. Like it's like that's where those forces live, and I'm like, yep, I believe it. Because fuck that. Those things are. And what's
yeah,
crazy
man.
is like I'm intrigued by it too. Like I want to know more about it.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
same.
with horror. Like I find myself like at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning watching horror shorts that do kind of like spook me a little bit, but I don't know. I enjoy that
It's
space.
a fascinating.
Enjoy that space. I don't know. It's weird, but
It's a fascination, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
well,
yeah, that is scary.
I think that's all I've got. So this was kind of a carefree episode. We just wanted to talk about horror, and we needed some sort of springboard to do that. So that's what this episode was. Very filler episode. Our podcast, Logicast. For those who have listened and you made it this far, let us know in the comments. What scares the shit out of you? Is it fish? Is it aliens? Zombies? Crazy people? Let us know. We'd love to hear it. Like the video, comment down below. Leave a dislike if you dislike the video for some reason. Subscribe. We do podcast episodes every single week. 12 p.m. Eastern is when we publish. Every episode lasts about an hour, give or take. And we cover all sorts of topics from doing tier lists to opinionated episodes like this one to more focused industry based episodes where we'll talk about controversies that are going on in the gaming industry or anything or even local things too. We also have other content on the channel, so we have like 2 minute reviews, unboxing videos, as well as 160 episodes of the podcast now. We've been doing this for a while, so there's a lot of topics to explore. Check the description down
Yeah.
below so that I'll leave a link to the gameplay footage down there in case you want to watch it on your own, or check out that person's content. I guess he just has like survival horror gameplay, so you can maybe discover a new game watching his stuff. Check the description for all of the social media links. So we have TikTok, Discord, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter or X, as well as Twitch. Subscribe for our Twitch, or just follow on the Twitch at least, and check out Esoteric. He streams 2 to 3 times a week. He'll be playing horror games all of October, so this is probably the best time to join and follow, because I think it's some of the best content that he's putting out there. So I would highly recommend it. And with that being said, see you next week for another horror episode.
Yeah, man.